Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Franklin County's #1 sports show, the best damn sports show in Franklin County. Good title. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Alan Richie Cunningham. And on the panel this week, to my immediate left, the Italian stallion, Evan Morselli. That's how you pronounce your last name?
Yeah, it is.
Close to Morselli, yep.
Yeah.
Or mozzarella stick, whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
And on my far right, my longtime pal, the Duke Gavril, Mr. Duke Forrest. And here we are, mid-October, and we might as well start with baseball first. All I can tell you is...
You want the first inning score of the Dodgers Braves game? How about 6-0, and it still wasn't over when I walked in. Dodgers.
Okay.
6 runs in the top of the first.
Oh, in Game 3, just now.
Game 3.
Oh.
So it looks like this will be a closer series. It would
now,
seem.
if you hear that big sigh of relief, that would be from Major League Baseball headquarters in New York
you're right
City,
about that.
with the Houston Astros getting into the American League Championship Series. The biggest winner of COVID-19 this year. Any business
Who, the Astros?
is the Houston Astros, because everybody,
Under 500, right?
everybody's
Right?
aunt, uncle, grandmother, grandfather was ready to boo the Astros when they hit the field back in first week of April. Of course, pandemic hit, blah, blah, blah. We didn't start baseball late.
Yeah.
Now, there is a God, because the Astros are down 3-0 to our low budget, the team we all root for, the Tampa Bay
You want to know
Rays.
how low budget? 27th in payroll, 27th.
Yeah.
Great effort by, you wonder if Chaim Bloom's happy he went to the Red Sox. He might be regretting that move.
Well, I mean, I think what he's going to do, he's going to put what he did with the Rays, but with the Red Sox. I mean, he's not Dave Dombrowski, who just, he's a buyer. He builds for long term, and, he did that with the Rays, and hopefully he does it with the Sox.
Well, although I'm already hearing rumblings that the Red Sox have another season like this, I'm not sure he'll get long-term. Boston's not a real good place to be if you're not winning pretty consistently.
Couple things. There's been, unless you guys know something I don't know, absolutely no news on who the next manager is going to be. And I will put to rest to everyone out there, if you think the Red Sox are bringing back Alex Cora, you're nuts. That will not happen. Evan, you're a Red Sox fan. Who's the next manager of the Red Sox?
I am going to disagree with you, and here's why.
And the door is right there. Nice seeing you.
No, I'm not going to cancel out Alex Cora. I still think he's an option. But I have it between Alex Cora and Jason Varitek, because you got Alex Cora is by far loved by the Sox. He's like, I'd say their #1 manager I think they've had in their franchise. He's just he's an overall nice guy.
He's dirty.
I know he's dirty. I know he had a history with the Astros, but he did good in Boston. I mean, the 2 years he had.
He's dirty.
Hockey don't give people a second chance?
The cheating was not a one-time incident. That was an ongoing incident.
Yeah, but
you ask Carlos Beltran, the manager of the Houston Astros, or the would-be manager, because once they found out his tenure was over before he ever did his first game. Of course, they brought our grandfather in, Mr. Dusty Baker, who has won about 2,000 regular season games. Unfortunately for him, he's never been able to get to the World Series. So Jason Varitek, I did hear some rumblings there. Sam Folds is the name I heard most prominently. But I'm telling you guys right now, he will not be back.
I mean, we'll see, I guess.
It sounds like no obvious. Yeah, I'm hearing nothing about that. Not that I get my papers every day.
And I don't, boy, I do know Major League Baseball kind of does tell the teams, no news during the playoffs.
No, they don't.
You don't want to upstage the games.
You're not even allowed to talk to free agents until the World Series is done.
And the Red Sox, obviously, being a huge market, I would think within a week after the World Series, the Red Sox will have their manager in
Really?
place. Do you have a particular favorite who you want to go there?
No.
My old friend
Again,
Veritek?
I feel the Red Sox have gotten so little of my attention for half a year.
Tell
plus.
Evan what you told us last week, how Nesson ratings, how far down they were.
Yeah, probably now down 54%. I think the biggest drop of any team in the majors.
Well, I mean, what my dad said, like, we didn't really watch many games. I watched the games, I should say. We all used to watch games together, and then we'd go to Boston for a game.
Yeah.
But my dad didn't want to watch any games. He just said it's not the same. I mean, you don't
Sure,
see
I
the
don't blame
fans there.
him.
You just love to see the fans,
Evan,
the noise.
Guess
and-
when I just left coming over here, I just happened to go by Nesson. Geez, sorry that I couldn't stay for it. A Red Sox-Baltimore game, God knows when.
Wow. It's funny you bring that up because I was talking today to the head boss here at the TV station. In fact, I think he's got a Red Sox tattoo on his arm. That's how beloved this team is to him. So Paul Snyder is the guy, and he told me today he did not watch one game
Is that
this
right?
year.
Wow.
My golf partner, Joe, okay, he didn't watch a game this year. We have a regular caller on that graciously calls us almost every week. He barely watched any games. And
Yeah, same with
was
me,
it
pretty
different?
much.
I thought baseball to me was, for whatever reason, felt more different than anything. Hockey, in fact, I thought was better without the fans. I just thought from a viewing standpoint, they were able to get the camera right
I mean,
in there.
As competitive as the game can get, like for a competitive standpoint, I feel like no team had an advantage with home field, other than like you're the home team and you're the away team. But I think from a fan, like not being able to go to like the games this year, it stunk. And watching it on TV, I mean, I watched the first game and I'm like, still don't like the no fans part. I mean, we won, and that was a good start, but not being able to like see the fans and like just the normal sound and just like, fan interactions, no players throwing the balls into the stands. Like it just wasn't the same this year, and it just.
Like I said a bunch of times, I was kind of bitter that they even had the season in the first place. I think hockey and basketball, which were so far along, you could make a way better case.
Yeah.
And football, of course, was lucky, seemingly timing-wise, but I was sorry they even attempted it. So yeah, I gave base. It's funny, I'm actually paying some attention to the playoffs now, but I paid about zero during the season.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox, they were horrible anyway, not exactly incentive to, showed a little life at the end.
I mean, you've been seeing what Trevor Bauer's been doing lately. He on Twitter he's been adding a lot of teams, and he's like giving like little like I guess funny jokes like with the Red Sox. He had a plane ticket going to Boston.
Trevor Bauer pitched for the Cincinnati Reds this past year and had a really good season.
Yeah, he's a free agent now.
He'll be, if he doesn't win, top 3 for the Cy Young. He will be the most coveted free agent come December or November, whenever it is. And I'm hoping the Nats will win. So, Evan, I do have a question for you. He is a rather outspoken person.
Yeah.
Me thinks he that may hurt his cause. But then again, if you're the best arm out there, then
I feel like what the situation is right now, I think teams just want to win just because, like, fans help with money. You got no fans, you're aiming for to win. But what he's been doing, I mean, he has his own, like, YouTube channel and everything, so he's always voicing his opinions. And, like, I see any team, like, all teams except for one team going after him, and the one team I'm saying is, like, the Astros. I don't think he wants to play for the Astros just because of, like, his opinion and his, like, his viewpoint from what happened in 2017. But on Twitter, he's been adding every team, giving little hints, like he did the Blue Jays today. 5 days ago, he did the Red Sox. He's been doing
Really?
Baltimore. He did the Twins.
What did he say about the Red Sox?
He had a plane ticket going to Boston, and he said, "Hey, Red Sox, are you up?" Now with Toronto, he said, "Do Toronto fans still love me?" Baltimore, he said, "Baltimore's a nice city. Wouldn't mind going today." Something like that.
now for Washington, his quote was, "Hey, is DC a fun city?"
Yeah.
So
Absolutely,
Yeah.
great city.
not that I made this cliche up, But baseball's all about pitching.
Well,
and I don't care how much hitting you
Oh, yeah.
got. If you can't pitch, you're not going to win.
I mean, look at the Red Sox. I mean,
The Red Sox have cut salary. Do I think they'll be in the hunt for Trevor Bauer? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean-
I think the Expos, the Nats will be
What are we talking, what's it going to take to get Trevor
30, I
Bauer?
would say, wouldn't you?
like 30 mil?
Yeah.
For how many years? So,
30
I mean,
mil a year?
How old is he? Check on your tweet machine there.
I think he's like,
Now, my
30.
recollection with him is, I think he might have been the number one overall pitcher drafted out
he's
of
29.
He's 29 out of
Yeah.
UCLA. Now, 29, so I will
Give
venture a
three
guess,
years.
is 6 years.
Well, that's some-
Okay, so like, here's what I can
Sure,
see
the
happening.
most I would ever even think of. I wouldn't like to
No,
do that.
logically
But
speaking,
just-
yes.
But just to
He's
get him.
always been dominant whenever he's played. He's never been like, he's never had a bad season, but
So what are you saying?
I'm saying, like, I'll agree with you. 3 to 6 years, I see. I don't see him like signing a 1 year or 2 year. I see like 3 as minimum. I'd say actually 7 as max, just so like someone can, get him instantly. I'd say,
But let me give you a little education here, young man. Economics 101.
Yeah.
Law of supply and demand. There's very little supply this year. So I may even actually bump him up from 6 years to $200 million.
Yeah.
Which would give him closer to $35 million.
I was gonna say 30 to 35 a year, just so you can instantly get him. And I truly, like, I see the 2 pitchers that the Red Sox are going for this year are Trevor Bauer and John Lester. And John Lester, just to reunite him, get him on a cheap contract. He's not bad, but he can pitch, and he's dominant.
Boy, John Lester's got to be mid-30s, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying like on a 1 year deal, it's just to like
Check
Sure,
it
I'd
out.
take
He
him.
hasn't pitched well the last couple of years, but you know what?
Oh, sure, I'd take it.
I don't
I'd
think
do
he
a
ever
1 year
wanted
deal.
to leave Boston. He was insulted on his way out.
4 years,
He-
70
he-
mil.
He was traded for Yoenis Cespedes, who we
Right.
kept for
Oh,
1
we have a
year.
phone call. Good evening. Get that bat off your shoulders and dig that mud out of your cleats
36.
because you are the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Go ahead.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, David.
Mr. Handy, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
And David, why aren't you here this week?
Well, I'm going to stay home this week.
Okay.
You
So,
think Handy, GMC, Buick, Caddy boy, they're going to be able to get by without you there, boss man?
I think they probably don't even know that I'm gone.
so David, I spoke with you briefly today, and I'm the type of guy that believes in the cliche. It's not the destination, it's the journey. I want to hear from point A when you left your home, right to when you got home. I want the full story. I do not want the Reader's Digest abridged version. Go.
Okay. Well, firstly, I was very fortunate that GM Financial really had it. It was all first class trip. They paid for my ticket, and then I upgraded to first class on my own. But the thing is, there's no amenities now in first class.
Is
There's no food, there's no water.
Really?
All they give you is a white.
Is that right? So just
Yeah.
more comfortable seating, a little more room, is that all you get from first class?
And worse than that is you don't even get in and out of the plane sooner.
Really?
Because of the COVID, what they're doing now is they're loading the plane back to front.
Huh.
But anyway, and then God forbid, if you sneeze or talk to somebody, they look at you like you're typhoid Mary.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
and you got to have your mask on the whole time.
Yeah.
And I had it on on Friday from about 6:30 till 3:30.
No, you must have loved them.
Oh, it's tough.
So what about no food or drink on the plane? Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Really?
They might have given you a little a cookie and about a 3-ounce glass of water
Huh.
in a box on one of the flights.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
So this was not a direct flight.
No, you got to go from
No
here
way.
to Charlotte, and then Charlotte to Dallas Fort Worth.
Okay.
How full were the planes on your 2
The
trips?
plane was half full from Burlington to Charlotte, and it was stuffed from Charlotte to Dallas, and the other 2 planes on the way back were, I'd say about 3/4 full.
Yeah.
And so the main reason I went certainly wasn't for the game, because as you know, the Giants and the Cowboys weren't exactly the Super Bowl winners in the last 2 years.
But you caught a pretty good ball game.
We did, and but my main reason is my son Joe
Right.
is grad student at Texas A&M,
Right.
and I thought he could enjoy living the high life for a couple of days with the old man.
Which I trust he did.
He did.
That's good.
And
That's good.
we did manage to go to the world famous Fort Worth Stockyard,
Wow.
which I would say is a combination Maple Festival and Champlain Valley Fair all rolled up into one.
Wow.
And the highlight of that was they sell a lot of Western goods there, and I bought my boy all some string ties, and I bought myself a cowboy hat. And we were looking at some handmade boots, and Joe said, you know, I'm here in Texas, maybe I ought to get a pair. And I looked at the price, and they were $800.
Wow.
So we didn't get them. But the game, the stadium is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's massive. It looks like the spaceship from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Wow.
And you go in, and we had a suite on the 50-yard line, and I never got in the bowl of the stadium, which we would have normally done if it hadn't been COVID. And the suite is about eye level to the bottom of the scoreboard, and about halfway up. And food was fantastic, and the view was great. And
Wow.
they actually opened up the windows on both ends of the stadium, which I guess they don't normally do, to have fresh air come in.
Huh.
Because it was a hot day, it was 96.
Wow. Really?
Now, David, correct me if I'm wrong. Do they allow up to 25,000 people to the ball game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did, and it looked like there was somebody there.
Yeah. But
And the suite next to us was empty.
Oh, yeah.
And but I was the only Giant fan. The other guys are all Cowboys fans, even though some of them were all from the Northeast.
Really?
And I was really mouthy for about the first period. But after that, and you knew they were going to lose. You knew they were going to lose on that last drive.
Yep. Yep.
They just don't know how to win, those guys.
Yep. Yep. No, you're right, David. It's that simple. They, they're somewhat competitive, but they just don't know how to win.
I mean, my man Daniel had a decent game, I assume?
Well, unfortunately, and I'm not blaming him. Andrew Thomas, after 5 games, David, I won't consider a bust, but he best improved quite a bit. He, the edge rusher just blew right around him,
Really?
and he came full steam right at Daniel Jones' blind side, right in the back, and he fumbled. Guy picked the ball up and ran it in for a score. So
Yeah.
Jones is getting executed again this week for ball management. But this Andrew Thomas, David, is rated the worst tackle by Pro Football Focus.
Wow.
Out of 60 eligible tackles, he's rated number 60. He's given up the most pressures, 28 pressures. This guy's terrible. And of course, if you remember back in April, there were 4 blue chip tackles, and I'll try to remember Tristan Wirfs being one, Mikael Becton, and I can't remember the other one.
Well, they had a big article in the New York Post today on Thomas and how he's got to step up. He's starting to look like Flower.
Eric Flower. David, when you blow the 4th overall pick, that just sends your team back another year.
I mean, I feel like they tried taking.
He can't be a mistake. He's got to come through.
I feel like they tried taking their chances like they did with Daniel. I mean, last time we talked, I said Daniel will probably be a bust. I mean, he's not been a bust. I mean, he's been doing decent. He's not, I guess, his prime yet. But.
Well, we have the toilet bowl this weekend, Sunday. We're playing the Redskins, who I happen...
Excuse me, the Washington football team?
I'm old school, the Redskins.
That's a real catchy name, the Washington football team.
The Giants, David, are actually 2.5-point favorites in that game.
Where's the game?
Well, you almost don't
I
want them
believe
to
it's
win.
in D.C. What's that, David?
You almost don't want them to win the game because we're still in the Trevor Lawrence race.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence.
And I had this discussion off air with Duke. I'm a big Daniel Jones fan. I think he's got the skills to be a good quarterback. And as I said before, Jesus Christ could come down from heaven and be at best mediocre behind that line. Now, to the line's credit, they are doing a better job run blocking, but pass protection is horrible. He's under the gun constantly. I watched the Buffalo Bill-Tennessee Titan game last night, and both quarterbacks had adequate time to throw the ball.
Well, the other problem the Giants had was the two boo-boos. They took off 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
The fake punt was beautiful, but the snapper or
fake field goal.
The fake field goal. No, it was a fake field goal.
It was a fake field goal, and a player wasn't set.
He snapped the ball. The punter snapped the ball about a second too quick because he could see how wide open that Ingram was.
Yep.
And but you know what? That's the difference between good teams and bad teams.
Yeah, we had two touchdowns disallowed to penalties.
Really?
And the Cowboys have a lot of weapons on offense. They suck on defense. And
they're terrible.
yeah, and it was a game. Like you said, we don't know how to win. The Cowboys didn't beat us. We beat ourselves again.
I mean, I feel like if you guys had Saquon as well, that'd be a big improvement with the run game, if I'm being honest.
I mean, Saquon is good, but it's still a passing league, and Jones has got to get protection. Now, if we do lose Sunday, I may be at that point of just watch every game and root for them to lose.
Really?
But then my friend Daniel Jones will be gone.
Yeah.
We'll get Trevor Lawrence, and I told someone today, Trevor Lawrence wears jersey number 16. He will not be able to wear that number with the New York Giants. You know who had that number, David?
Frank Gifford.
Frank Gifford.
No, he's all
So
right.
it's a retired number.
I think
the other thing is they aren't going to be as bad as the Jets.
Agreed. No, I think the Giants will win a handful of games. To me, aside from Lawrence, the best player coming out of the draft is the offensive tackle Penei Sewell out of Oregon. I can't miss. Well, I said that probably last year about Thomas. But, yeah, what do we have? 13?
What about Nate Solder? Will he come back or will he be all done?
He can come back. I think.
You pray he doesn't do that.
Well, I will say this: he's terrible, but he's better than Thomas. And again, to be fair, I've got to give Thomas a full season before I give him a final grade. But at this point, it's an F.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the other thing, I'm not surprised that Tampa Bay beat the Yankees.
Good series. Good series.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to love.
The Yankees weren't as good as Tampa. They didn't deserve to win, and they're too right-handed.
So, yes or no, David? Will Gary Sanchez be back in April? No. Will he be?
I'd give it about 80% that he's gone.
Yeah.
Really?
And here's why: their backup catcher, their young one, he can hit. We've seen him hit.
Who's the backup catcher? Who's the backup for Sanchez, David?
Oh, well, the guy their backup is Karagosha, but he's not a young guy. He's 32 or 33.
Okay.
career minor leaguer, but the guy's a really good catcher.
I was going to say, I think he has a better chance of being their starter than Gary does. And
Sanchez
plus
really
if they
faded
want,
away.
if the Yankees want Aaron Judge to stay long term, they can't keep Sanchez because Sanchez he's a good bat. He's worth a lot. So, I think long term.
They're talking about untendering him.
Yeah. Now, of course, David, the number one free agent is JT Realmuto, who is the best hitting catcher and happens to be the best defensive catcher. This guy can do it all, and I think he will sign minimum $25 million per season.
I don't see the Yankees as being a player for him because I was reading an interview with Hal Steinbrenner, and he was saying the Yankees lost a lot of money this year.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to cut payroll, and they're going to get under the salary, the luxury tax.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will say that watching Tampa Bay, the fundamentals of sport never change. And in baseball, it's pitching, timely hitting, and good defense.
No, agreed.
Which is what they do.
Yep. Now, David, another complaint about the Giants. Another former number one pick. Evan Ingram scored on a end sweep, okay? But as far as pass catching, he had one reception for like 9 yards.
Really?
Yeah, number one round draft pick 4 years ago. This guy can't block a lick, but he's a good athlete. They've got to get the ball to him. And unfortunately, if the season ended today and you were handing out awards, the Giants MVP is their kicker, Graham Gano. He had 350 plus yard kicks, and he's 12 for 13 this year. And the only miss he had, I think, first or second week was a 57-yarder. This guy has been surefire, but it's been a long season, Duke. I've aged considerably in 5 weeks.
Hey, when you get to the game early, you can watch the guy kicking field goals, and he was kicking them from over 60.
Yeah. And
he's got a leg.
yeah, it's not a bad place to kick in an indoor ballpark.
You got no wind.
Dave, was Joe, did he join you in the suite? Was he there for the game?
Yeah.
That's great.
Joe stayed in an adjoining room. They gave us 2 rooms next to each other.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, A&M, is that in College Station?
College Station.
Yeah.
How far from Dallas, Dave?
About a 4-hour drive.
Really? Good hike, huh? Well, Texas is huge.
Yeah, it's a big ass stadium. I'm sorry my language.
4-hour drive in Texas is like going from here to Swan.
Yeah. Yeah,
You can drive all day and not leave Texas.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I've dealt with Texas a little bit.
So did Joe drive to Dallas?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Wow, okay.
But I'll tell you what, those folks down there at our hotel, TCU had a game Saturday with Kansas State, and all the folks from Kansas State were staying at the hotel.
Oh, wow.
But if you go out on the street, and I was wearing my A&M hat, everybody was talking about how A&M beat Florida.
I bet. Big game.
And they love their college football down there.
Yeah.
It's bigger than the Cowboys.
Yep.
Not to mention their high school.
Yeah, I was going to say their high school.
Saturday Night Lights.
High school teams have big NFL stadiums for their
The great book Friday Night Lights and
Exactly,
TV series, movie,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, those guys really like football.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the downtown Fort Worth is really a nice place.
Yeah.
Kind of like a big Burlington. They took their main street and closed it off to traffic for a few blocks. They've got a couple of tap houses, and you eat outdoors and sit outdoors, and it's very nice.
Of course, we got some big ball games going on in the neighborhood. Is Arlington kind of between Dallas and Fort Worth?
Yeah. And the baseball stadium is right next door to Jerry's place.
What town is that, David?
Arlington.
It is in Arlington. Okay. Now, the old ballpark was in Irving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the old
their Rangers?
baseball stadium was in Arlington.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Arlington.
Right, and that's a brand new ballpark, right?
Yeah, it's not nearly as good looking on the outside as the football stadium.
Yeah. So, okay, David, well, thank you so much for chiming in.
All right, well, you know what? I learned a little trick tonight. I shut this show off, and I talk to you guys on my phone, and there's no time lag.
That's
Well,
what
that's
Leonard,
good-
you know
good
how
way to
Leonard
go.
complains about that. So, all right, we shall see you next week.
So we'll.
All right, God willing, yeah, I'll see you guys.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back. Thank you.
I'd hate to bring it back to baseball. But when I was looking up John Lester's age, so he's 36. I
I
saw
was
that
thinking mid-30s.
I saw that the Dodgers had an 11-run first inning.
11? I left
Yeah.
it 6-0. Is that right? First,
Yeah.
wasn't there a game like that a year or two ago? I think it was the Braves. Was it the Braves who scored a ton of runs, or the other team? It seems like I remember another game that was like 10-0. I think it was involving the Braves too.
So John Lister, that's a good name to throw up. If you need a number 4, 5 starter.
And so his contract, he's a free
Yeah,
agent.
so I mean, if you look at the Red Sox starting pitchers, you get Chris Sale, he's off Tommy John surgery right now. Eduardo Rodriguez.
Probably not back at
Yeah.
the start of the season.
Eduardo Rodriguez,
Who knows?
he's having his heart problems right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like we'd re-sign Martin Perez, and then
he's
Nathan Eovaldi. We have those two.
Nathan Eovaldi showed some life.
I mean, he was, I'd say, their ace this year. If you had to give him the ace, he would be their ace.
Check, his ERA was well over 4.5.
he did better later. He looked okay to me.
I mean,
Grossly overpaid
Well,
at $18
Oh, yeah.
million.
Yeah.
You said that about how many players
Right.
can you say
But
that about?
Martin Perez was probably their most consistent starter.
Yeah.
Left-hander, and I would say that would be a good signing. And if they can get, they probably don't want to spend the Trevor Bauer money, and I don't have the free agent list, which we'll get into after the World Series. But if they could get a mid-type, and a guy like Lester, 1 year, $3 million?
I'd say, yeah, one. I was going to say
I'd do that. I'd do that
maximum
in a-
5.
in a second.
Maximum
Yeah, I'd give
5
I'd
million.
probably
Check
give him
Lester
5.
the last couple of years. He has
give
not
him
been
5.
good. Yeah.
Hawk Talking Money, can I throw a quick NBA stat at you? This is a story about LeBron making $37.4 million, a bargain, according to the
All
Wall
right,
Street
so-
Journal, which I might buy.
So 2018, his ERA was a 3.32. He started 32 games. He was 18-6. Had
Yeah.
a good season. 2016,
guess.
that was his other good
No,
season.
2019, don't go that far back.
I was getting to that. And then I'd say 2018 was his last good year because he raised up from 2019 to 446. And then 2020, I mean, only playing 12 games, he went 3-3 with a 5.16.
516, that's, so,
But I'd still grab him for a year if
you
I
know
could.
what, Duke?
I'd just say for depth,
He-
you know.
I mean, he never should have left. The Red Sox blew it so
He
badly.
could rejuvenate. No,
Yeah, he could.
I believe sincerely that the Red Sox will be a 500 team.
Oh.
Sure. They have enough quality players.
You got Bobby Delbick, their rookie this year. Like he was surprising. And then their rookie pitcher, I forgot.
Yeah.
Howick.
Mr. Houck, Tanner Houck.
Yep.
Yeah.
3-0 late. Look good.
Oh, tell me about a stud.
Yeah. Now, second base, you need a second baseman.
So I mean, here's the infield that my perfect Red Sox infield.
Right.
So you have Rafi Devers third, Xander Bogaerts short. You have Michael Chavis second base, and then you have Bobby Delbick at first.
Okay. Chavis didn't play that well, did he, this year?
Oh, he did. I would say
Another guy who he has tons of company, just strikes
Yeah.
out a lot, and of course, it's all
he
that
chases the high
strikeout or
fastball
homer.
though. That's his one problem is that he's always chasing the high fastball when he's down 2-2, 1-2, 0-2.
And Jackie Bradley, yes or no, are they re-signing him?
I think they will.
So you don't, which is to say, you don't think he'll get a much better deal from somebody else, huh?
If you look at like all these like great outfielders, can they do what Jackie does? No. Can they hit better than Jackie? Yes, but I feel like as a defensive standpoint, I think Jackie's
there's
one
no
of the
question.
most defensive.
But
Sure,
Jack-
but don't you think, I mean, the thinking is there'd be other teams who would be prepared to pay him a lot more than the Red Sox.
But there,
I guess
right,
we'll
there's
see.
no debate on his defensive
No, yeah, he's
prowess.
unreal.
But we know who Jackie
In
Bradley
fact, he hit
Jr.
about
is.
270. He had his best.
Right.
He had his best year.
Yeah.
Shortened
He's
as
a
it was.
lifetime 236 hitter.
Yeah.
That's just isn't good. He earned 10 million this year. I'm just questioning if he can even get 10 million this winter.
You know, I feel like he's going to test it, but I think the Red Sox are going to be on it right away to like say, hey, we want you back. Here's the money. We're going to lay it out right there. And I think he's going to test it and realize if he's not getting the money he wants, I think he'll stay in Boston, like where his home is.
That sounds right.
Benintendi left. Of course, the kid, Alex Verdugo in right, had a fantastic season.
Yeah, he looks like
I mean,
real deal
if
kind of guy.
And I am
Benintendi's
so sick and tired on the internet, about Red Sox. Oh, how could you get rid of Mookie? For 60 lousy games, you got a very, very good ball player.
I think
Guess
Alex
he's still
Verdugo
on
hit
that,
7
Doc,
home
yeah.
runs, but he still hit the ball.
He-
And he wasn't
Check
a
his
disappointment.
stats,
He
because
wasn't a disappointment.
I knew him well before he went to Boston because I saw him play a number of times with the Dodgers. And of course, the Dodgers' problem was they just had too many good outfielders. Like Jock Peterson, Evan, is a free agent this
I
year.
have him going to the Angels.
Okay, the Nats might want to. So tell me, give me Verdugo's stats.
So Verdugo he had 6 home runs. Where's his average? It's not
Yeah,
telling
he looked very good to me.
not telling me his average for this year. Batting average, he batted .308 for only 62 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always on base. His on-base percentage was a .367.
Yeah.
The Globe's Dan Shaughnessy, one of the guys who keeps coming back to Mookie, his column in the Sunday Globe about love hating, watching, watching. Here's how he ends getting to Mookie.
See.
The disgrace of the 2020 Red Sox will be complete when we see Mookie Betts hoisting the World Series trophy over his head at the end of the month. The Sox gave up on their season when they salary dumped Betts to Los Angeles.
Well, you know what, Duke? He's not lying. It was his salary dump
Right,
season.
but Shaughnessy's also bitter that they didn't re-sign him for a gazillion
Well, let me
dollars.
tell you what. Do you really think the Red Sox could have did any better than what they got? Plus, they got, I believe, 2 minor league pitchers.
Nope, no pitchers. So that's why
They
I'm
weren't
saying
pitchers.
I'm saying this is why they could have done better. They got a AA catcher, a AAA shortstop,
Right.
and Jeter Downs, and then Alex Verdugo. And I feel like either you could have added another pitcher, or you could have replaced those 2 minor league prospects for pitching prospects. Not great
Of
ones,
course,
but
Betts, an obvious issue,
Yes.
though, was Betts was a free agent. So
Exactly.
you grab Betts, no guarantee you have him
I mean,
more than
Right.
a few games.
If you didn't make that trade, Mookie's a free agent.
you don't know
right?
what's going to happen.
Verdugo is a very good ball player.
And the
they got
only,
a lot for him.
Yeah, and the only reason
Trade
why
makes
he signed with the Dodgers and he didn't test out free agency was because of COVID. He wanted the guaranteed money, which was right there in front of him. So I mean,
Sure,
I'm not going
why
to
not?
blame him for taking that money. It was sad to see because as a Red Sox fan, all the fans across Boston, we were like, okay, we're getting it back. We just stole from the Dodgers, but money was given to him. It was right there. I mean, he took it. I mean,
And again, the Red Sox have been paying tax penalties for years.
Pablo Sandoval.
And they said, all right, this has to end. They did what they had to do, and it turned out perfect in a short season where big-time baseball fans like yourself didn't bother to watch. People, as you mentioned on Nesson, less than half their viewing audience was gone. This was a lost, forgotten season. And trust me, I can beat up on Boston, and I have had in the past by buying World Series, by being so far over the salary cap. But they did the right thing, and they've got some, and they're not rebuilding, they're tweaking. They've got to work on that pitching staff. And obviously, Chris Sale, my opinion, one of the top 3 pitchers in baseball. Can he come back?
if he
Red Sox better hope so.
Right.
if he comes back, it's going to be after the All-Star break.
And the thing
All
about
right, you
Sale,
think that late, huh?
Well, I think so you've seen him get off of an injury, and they bring him back early. I think they're going to make him 100%, because in 2019 he wasn't 100%, but they still pitched him, and that's what led to the Tommy John surgery. So I feel like they're gonna want him to be 100%, and when he's at 100%, as he's shown in 2017 and 18, he's dominant.
And especially if they're not a contending team, which
Exactly.
is probably far likelier than not.
the thing about Sale, is he's got no body. He's got a body of a long-distance runner.
Yeah.
And how he can generate speed in the
Yeah.
upper 90s is beyond me.
Yeah.
You know, you look at a guy like Max Scherzer,
Yeah.
who runs every single day, but he's a big-bodied person.
The one thing I wish the Red Sox did this year was I know they were in the tanking run for the number 1 pick. I wish they purposely tanked. I wish because Kumar he looks deadly.
Yeah, he'll be the first pick by the Pirates.
Yeah.
And the Pirates won the tanking by
And
a
then,
number of games.
I think-
Now, the Red Sox, I can officially tell you, they are the 4th pick
They're the
overall. They will have a blue chip
We're the
player.
4th. I thought we were the 3rd.
No, you're the 4th, and it is going the order of this year's standings. If there's a tie, they will go back to last year's standing as a tiebreaker. Now, Evan, when you're running a business,
Yeah.
okay, you always have short-term items that you must deal with on a daily basis. However,
Yeah.
when you're running a sports business, you must think long-term.
Yeah.
Now, the Nationals actually had the 4th overall pick on the last weekend of baseball, 2 games to go on Saturday, okay? So what'd they do? They went out and won Saturday. They won Sunday. They fell from 4th to number 11.
They
okay?
did?
They won the last 7 out of 9 ball games.
Oh, yeah, we do have
okay?
the 4th.
Management should have told the manager, or this is who you're starting. Joe Blow from Idaho, who'll never see the major leagues again, and hope you lose. You know, do people remember right now that Nats won 7 out of the last 9 games? Of course not. And going from 4th to 11th, to me, is a big deal. And as I said for the Red Sox, the lowest, Duke will remember this, you're way too young.
Yeah,
The Red
maybe.
Sox drafting number 4, it won't be in June. They're playing this up like Major League Baseball draft is a big deal like football. It isn't. The Major League draft now will be during All-Star festivities in July.
Really?
And I believe next year it's in Atlanta. Okay. So with the Sox, as I said, picking 4th, the last time they had a pick that high
The 50s?
was 1967.
67.
If you remember, 1966, they finished, I believe, like second to last, something like that. They had the 3rd overall pick. Do you remember? No, you won't remember. Mike Garman. Do you remember the name?
yeah, sure.
I think it was a left-hand pitcher. Never turned out to
Or
be.
you said right hand, but a pitcher. in
Yeah.
any case. Yeah, I remember the name.
Yeah, and the Red Sox, being such a very good to great team over the years, they're always picking in the mid to upper 20s. They're
Yeah.
not getting the blue chip, this guy can't miss type player. This year, hopefully, will be the last time they pick in the top 5.
Let's hope.
So, now, the Atlanta Brave, LA Dodgers, I'm rooting for the Atlanta Tampa Bay series. LA will obviously win tonight. After 3 games, somebody has to be up 2-1.
Yeah.
So do not discount the Dodgers. Now, old friend Clint Kershaw, top 10 all-time great pitchers, okay? Even this year, Duke, he had an ERA in the short season around 2.15.
Really? Wow.
Now, what happens?
Postseason.
Playoffs?
He chokes. He
Bum
chokes.
back. He's back spasms again. So he may be pitching game 4.
I was gonna
see
say.
him
I was gonna
next
say it's not
game.
game 4. He's definitely pitching game 5. I mean, I think it's like I said with Kerselli. They want their pitcher to be 100%.
Yeah, with the win today, you'd think that would tempt them to put him off one more game, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But depends. My dream World Series after I made my playoff bracket was Dodgers and Rays. So I mean, that's what I hope
Yeah.
happens. So
And as you mentioned, Duke, 27th payroll. How could you not root for Tampa? And
Exactly.
of course, every year they're second to last in attendance, only to Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
It's a Florida's. I hate to blanket it, but it's a non-baseball state.
Well, I mean,
Funny,
you
it's
see the
football. I mean, they love their football.
They love
It's funny
football
for
down there, but they never should have put their franchises in Florida.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Marlins this year, they were probably thought to be like the worst team this year, and they made the playoffs. Like
So,
that's crazy,
right,
right?
Kevin.
Great effort by Tampa.
Right. And do we expect them to keep improving? Yes. But just check, if you're only looking at the box scores,
Yeah.
what will their attendance be?
Yeah.
Okay? Can this team survive down there? I don't think so. And if they do become a 90-game type winner, you've got to get some bodies in the seats.
Yeah.
But Tampa, Atlanta, I'd love it. The networks will freak, but
Oh,
I'd
absolutely.
love Tampa, Atlanta.
Yeah, yeah.
Where the Dodgers, if the Dodgers don't make it this year, they're just going to get so much grief.
As much as like if I have whoever's coming out of the NL is going to win it. I have the Rays. They're a strong team, but I feel like the Braves or the Dodgers are stronger within pitching and hitting. I mean, Tampa's pitching, it's good, but like their offense is like the one that worries me.
The whole area
Yeah, not a lot of
with the
offense.
Atlanta Braves, their starting pitching was terrible this year.
Except for one pitcher. They had like the
Right.
dominant lefty.
Just, you check the team ERA, they were horrible, but all of a sudden, they took the magic pill and they're all pitching good. I don't know tell me who started tonight for Atlanta. I'm
I
just
think it was
curious.
one of their no names. I mean, they were 7-0 all postseason coming into tonight.
Right, and they had scored first every game going into tonight.
So, listen, if you're going to blow a tire, wouldn't you rather lose this way?
Sure,
Put it
get
behind
killed
you?
one game, big deal.
Right,
It's
you don't
still
want
up
to
2-1.
lose 3-2. So,
Boy, 11 runs, but I swear
Yeah,
there was
well, it's
another
12-0
game.
right now. Let me.
So the Astros better win later today if they want to keep this thing going.
so I'll let you do your thumb work here. So football,
Well, the
I think- did I
Patriots going
golf
to get a
with you
game
on-
in maybe? Are they still
I-
on for Sunday?
did I golf with you on Sunday?
Yeah, we did.
And I mentioned to you, like I was golfing the next day, and I said,
Right.
and they were, you, Joe, and Kevin, they're all Patriot fans. I said, boy, we're golfing tomorrow at 2:30.
Bless me.
How great is this for you Pat fans? Go golfing, you have
Remember I
time for
said Sunday, I said I'm pretty sure the game got
Right.
postponed.
Quick shower and you're watching the game and you said, what game? I
Right.
said, dude, your Pats are playing at 5:05 Monday. You said, no, they're not. Well, lo and behold,
Oh, that hurt me.
I
deep
didn't
down.
check. One of my fantasy teams, I had two players in that game. One I remember was Damian Harris, and I don't remember the other player. Long story short,
Two players from the Patriots.
I don't know if it's, who are the Patriots playing?
Denver.
Denver. Melvin Gordon Jr.
yeah.
was the other guy. Okay, so two running back. I ended up, final score of my fantasy game was 89-89, which is rare you ever
Really?
get a tie in a fantasy game. But I did not know until I'm out golfing with you like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I wasn't around my computer to make any changes, so.
So their pitcher for the Braves, his name, I don't know his full name, but it was Dayton, and he only went one inning. He gave up 3 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. His ERA for tonight's game is 33.75.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, well, obviously, they gave up a ton of runs in the second inning as well. So, now Cam Newton, back in action.
See,
Definitely.
definitely
That-
back.
And
That's
Stephon Gilmore, they're both returning on
Yeah.
tomorrow for practice. Yep.
And they have an easy game coming.
It should be a win at home against Denver.
Yeah,
talk about the
my
Patriots
recollection
trade
here,
rumors.
They're 9.5-point favorites.
Are they really?
In that. Yeah, they're at home, so.
You hear about the trade rumors? Julio Jones, Patriots. See, because Atlanta's
who?
Julio Jones going to the Patriots because Atlanta's rebuilding. They're
Is this a rumor?
this is a rumor because the Odell and Jarvis Landry rumor kind of fell down.
Because they're winning. Cleveland's winning.
And
now.
Atlanta's 0-5. They fired their GM and their head coach, and it's off to a new start, I guess, for Atlanta. And Julio's holding a lot of money.
Well, let me ask you this. The Patriots foolishly made a trade, I think it was Atlanta, to get Sanu.
Mohamed
Sanu last year.
Right,
Yeah.
from Atlanta
Not
for
a
a
good
second-round draft pick. If he can garner a second-round pick, Julio Jones has one of the top 5 receivers in football.
Yeah.
The Pats will have to give up a number 1 pick.
Yeah, well-
Now, he is great. Julio Jones is. that makes sense, and that could be the start of tanking for Trevor.
Yeah.
Falcons are 0-5. I think, I can't believe I'm saying this, they might be worse than the Giants. So Matt Ryan's had a good career.
Yeah.
Okay, had a BC.
Unfortunately, I'm reading a great Patriots book. I just read about the.
Is that the new
Atlanta-
Patriots
In
book?
fact, Paul Snyder, I wanted to tell Paul about it, and Paul says, Richard, what page are you on? He bought the book. I got it from the library.
What's the name of it?
Dynasty.
I heard
By
that's a
Jeff
great
Benedict.
book.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
And for the record, it's due back at the library for me Saturday. So if anybody, Patriots fans, you'll love this book. So it should be back at the library no later than Saturday. I got about 100 pages
Yeah,
to
see,
go.
I've got two
Great
books
book. Great book.
left to finish from the library, which I have to hustle.
Of course, a lot of Parcells that goes way back before
Oh,
Brady and
yeah,
stuff, but a
okay, I will
great book.
Remind me to take that book out. Okay, where'd you get this rumor?
So I have a bunch of ESPN noted apps, and one of the articles that I read, it was like 2 days ago, it was like Patriots linked to Julio Jones, and I read it, and it was like, yo, this could happen, this may happen, and if it does happen, it's reasonable because this is when, it was not, I can't say 2 days ago, it was when the GM and the head coach got fired.
Right, okay, so get on
Really?
your machine
Interesting.
and tell me what Jones has left for a contract, so the Patriots don't trade for a guy that's got like a year and a half left.
And you know, the Atlanta Falcons have not been the same after they blew the lead in the Super
No.
Bowl.
You're
They
right,
have
right.
not.
They never
No,
got over
I
that.
They
mean,
have not
they-
recovered from it.
They fell off a cliff.
Unbelievable. Just
Yeah.
just reading about it in the book was,
And of course,
and
Atlanta-
Edelman's unbelievable catch.
So he has 3 years left. He has 66 mil with that 3 years. So he's
Boy, that
getting
sounds
paid.
like Patriots aren't used to paying mega
well, I'm
bucks.
pretty good with number, that's $22 million a year.
Patriots weren't even paying TB12 that much.
Yeah, dude,
But we have, I guess, the money. We're paying Cam Newton on the minimum contract right now.
Oh yeah, he's not making big
Dude,
buckos.
that
I just
sounds like
can't
a
believe
lot of money for-
I can't believe they'd throw out that much money for anybody.
You know,
I mean,
just.
Brady's gone because they wouldn't give him 2 years. Had they given him 2 years, he'd still be
Yeah.
with the Pats. 2 years, 50 mil. Had they given him, I think, 25 mil for 2 years, he'd still be
Yeah.
there.
so Evan, the obvious question is,
But I hope
the
you're
salary
right.
cap. I mean,
Hope you're right.
can they squeeze this in without going over the cap?
We have 65 to I think 70 mil around that little range of money for the for our salary cap. So I think Edelman's our highest contract right now. So
And how old is Julio? And don't say down by the schoolyard either, dude.
he is 31. But
Dude, that
does
scares me, dude.
But he doesn't play like a 31-year-old. He doesn't.
Right. He is great, and he's certainly worth $22 million today.
Yeah.
Down the road, you know, a wide receiver, when he hit 30,
And you also got Le'Veon Bell, who was just released by the Jets. Which,
okay, Mr. Congeniality.
Last guy.
Okay,
Last guy.
he is a coach killer.
Yeah.
Players hate him. He is,
Although it sounds like just the kind of guy Belichick might think about grabbing and
in fact,
and
I did
reforming,
read rumors
which he's done before. of course.
that
I mean-
he could end up in Boston.
see, with the Antonio Brown situation, that's what Belichick took his chances with. Now, the reason why they released him was because of the rumor that he sexually assaulted a Raiders
Yeah, they were
trainer.
getting
So that's why they released him, because they
Robert
didn't.
Kraft, you know, I mean,
they-
Belichick could probably care less. I mean, he just give me a football player.
Exactly.
But Kraft is
And
he's
our,
a big PR
our
guy. I
top
think
running
Kraft
back
couldn't tolerate
is
it.
Sony Michel and James White, which they're good, but I mean, a Le'Veon Bell. His game is different than what he.
How
acts
long
like.
is Michelle out for? And I would say right now, your number one running back is Damian Harris.
Or Rex Burkhardt?
Burkhead's, you know.
Oh, I mean,
He did
every
good
other game
against
will
Elizabeth.
play.
I mean,
every
is
other
this
game.
not a running back by committee? I mean, there's four guys that play.
We have, I think, 6 running backs on our roster
I think
right
they're
now.
leading the NFL in rushing per game. Of course, Cam figures into that heavily, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do like Cam better than Brady because Cam can make more plays than Brady could.
Sure,
Brady
he's
had
a
an
very
arm,
different kind of player.
Yeah.
and we have never seen that. Like if we saw Brady run, it's like we're watching film in slow motion.
Boy, Tom
Like,
getting a little attention for the last game. he must be, again, everybody's saying this, that, hey, Brady's got a lot of talent on the Bucks, but this is such an undisciplined team. He's going from about the most disciplined, regimented team
Yep.
in history to kind of a wild, a talented team. But boy, and of course, is the famous this is Kevin Paul
Yeah.
DuPont's column saying, Tom, just people make mistakes, but
I
anyway.
watched the game, and it was just
Because of the Bears.
boring, very boring game.
the Bears. Really,
because,
I wouldn't call it.
Great,
I
I
wouldn't
thought
call
it was
boring.
dull. I watched the whole thing.
I would agree, yes and no. I mean, it was nice
Nick
to
Foles
watch.
wasn't exactly lighting it up here.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Just go play
Yeah.
the game. Just
Before the
kill my
season started,
Patriots.
I told a lot of people, I think the Bucks are going to be the overrated team this year. Yeah, they got Brady. Yeah, they have this so-and-so offensive threat. I don't think they were going to perform.
They got Packers coming up late Sunday too.
I'm just one of those guys that they need a little time to gel. Chris Godwin, who's one of the best receivers in football.
I think they have a potentially pretty
is
good
back.
team.
They lost
Coach Arians doesn't
O.J.
impress
Howard,
me too
their
much.
tight end, but they had Cameron Bratt.
And then they got
And Gronkowski.
Gronk from us, yeah.
And Gronk, of course, is a shadow of a shadow. No, oh, wow, dude, I'm shocked by this. Green Bay is in Tampa. It's only,
So it's at Tampa?
yeah, I would have guessed 6-point spread.
Sorry, for Tampa or Green Bay?
Not for Green Bay, they've played
At
well.
Tampa. And it's like,
It's only 2.5.
what does it say, home,
I would-
field goal home court
Yeah,
advantage?
give Tampa the 2.5.
Is that right? Is that Tampa Bay?
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, who I thought his career was over, him and Danica Patrick broke up, so I figured he'd be heartbroken. And I didn't think his relationship with head coach Matt LaFleur was that good last year, so I figured he was just going to play the string out. Well, he's playing MVP like right now.
Needless to say, that game's getting a lot of attention. I'm seeing ads for that game
That's
every hour.
your national 425 game
Yeah.
on Sunday. So just to let you know, I'm not golfing on Sunday.
Oh, is that right?
I'm yard work. It's a decent day. I'm going to golf on Monday instead, but I've got to get my yard work.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Is that all right? So no Sunday?
Yeah. So
What about Saturday?
Saturday, I will be playing. Yeah. So we'll go over that later. So I do want to hit the ice here, and I'm going to look into the camera.
Tell me about
Fold my
Craig.
fingers.
Should I be excited about Craig Smith?
Well, I'm giving a Nighthawk guarantee. Are you ready for this,
He'll
Evan?
score 20 goals.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I sit here before you on October 14th. Hockey season will not start until January 1st,
No.
slightly thereafter.
Will they have the usual outdoors game, I trust?
That
That'd be
I doubt.
That'd be a good
No.
official kickoff of the
No.
season. Hey,
I doubt-
what's not liked about
well,
playing? That's what they should be
right,
doing.
but if they're
Forget
not
playing
allowing-
indoors, play all the games outside.
Yeah.
I am guaranteeing that Les Canadiens de Montreal will make the playoffs.
Really?
And I'm also telling you that they will not squeak into the playoffs, that they will be one of the more dominant teams in the NHL this year. And if I may grab a minute here, Brendan Gallagher
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock just came out before I left the house.
I was hearing about him on Team
He was
690
news
today.
yesterday. They were having issues for his extension. Now, he signed a horrible deal. He had signed a 6-year, $3.75 million, and he's been their top player for the last half dozen years, top goal scorer. Just a horrible contract. So he did sign late afternoon, 6 years for $39 million at $6.5 million. Now, keep in
I'm
mind,
sorry, signed with,
the Canadians.
so they did re-up
Yeah.
him.
They re-signed earlier this fall Jeff Petrie, one of the better, most underrated players in hockey, 4 years, $25 million. They got Joel Edmondson, defenseman. They traded from the Flames, I believe it was. Guy you don't know about, but very steady. They took care of their backup goaltending. As you know, they have not had a backup goaltender for years. They picked up Jay Callan from the St. Louis Blues, who's got a lifetime goals against average of 2.50 with a save percentage of .915. This past year, during time with Jordan Bennington, he had a 2.15 goals against. Okay, now, the blemish with him is he gets about $4.5 million a year. You couple that with Carey Price, $10.5 million. They're spending $15 million a year. Now, that is one season. Today, this afternoon, he signed a 2-year extension for only $2.875 million. So we've got Jay Callan around for the next 3 years, unless he's taken during the expansion draft by the Seattle Kraken.
I mean, I forgot about that.
Okay. Now,
Expansion.
we signed Tyler Toffoli from the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks picked him up during the trade deadline from the LA Kings. This guy this year alone in 68 games, 24 goals. He's a regular 25 to 30 goal scorer. Again, playing on the West Coast, you don't hear about him. This guy is a player. Josh Anderson, one of the premier power forwards in hockey. He was injured this year, didn't do anything, only played a handful of games. But this guy's like 6'3", 225, can skate, can hit, play on the boards, good for 25 goals a year. And they signed him to a 7-year, $5.5 million contract. He's going to be around. The Canadians look good, and I'm telling you, they may even, and I'm not going to make a bet, push Boston.
I mean, the
Really, that optimistic?
only player the Bruins lost was Troy Krug, and he went to the Blues. But
And that was good. I told the Duke,
Yeah.
that was good cap management. You can't sign a guy that old
Yeah.
to 7 years, and he survives by his great athleticism.
Yeah.
And,
Now,
and
as
a
he
great
ages,
power play
right,
guy.
just in,
But thanks, Tori. I'll miss you a lot. I love Tori Krug.
yeah,
I'm not a Bruins fan.
yeah. I'm trying to remember who you like.
I like the Capitals.
The Capitals. I
Yeah.
remember you wore the Capitals jersey.
Yeah.
Now, and this is the way the game is played in sports now. Alex, help me with his last name. Petrolangelo, their captain. Great,
yeah.
great
Signed
defenseman.
with
I
the
should know
Knights.
how to pronounce his last name. Okay. He was hemming and hawing about his contract. St. Louis had been in the Krug camp, and they couldn't wait any longer. They pulled the trigger. They got Torrey Krug, and of course, if you remember, St. Louis won the Stanley Cup last year, and still is one of the top 5 teams in hockey. Good landing zone for Krug. So Petrolangelo ended up signing with the Vegas Knights.
Yeah.
Black Knights. I don't
Vegas
hear anybody.
Golden
Are they the
Knights.
Golden Knights? Now, again, the dominoes will fall. What happens after Petrolangelo signs? They're over the salary cap. They have to take steady veteran Nate Schmidt.
Yep.
Give him away to Calgary, I think, for
Vancouver.
Vancouver for a measly 3rd-round draft pick. It's like, here's a very good player, but we can't afford him. Just throw us a bone here, and you can have him. And that's what happened.
He's going to Vancouver to play with Jay Beagle, who was a Capital, same with Nate Schmidt and Brand Holtby, because he did sign with Vancouver.
The aforementioned Montreal Canadiens, the last few years, nobody wanted to sign with them. Right now, you have a limited body that can sign with teams because a lot of teams are up against their cap. They might say, oh, Evan, we'd love to have you on the team, but we just don't have any money for you. So the Canadians had some money. People want to be paid. Now, as far as loyalty and all that, no, people want to be paid.
No, nowadays it's not even every sport's not the game. It's a business.
Right.
It's
pay me.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Canadians right now, as we speak, are $354,000 over the cap. So they've got to get rid of at least one player. A couple names could be Paul Byron, the small, speedy forward, or defenseman Brett Brett Kulak. And of course, too, when you get out of this and start the regular season, you always want to leave yourself a buffer, $1.5 million, $2 million for a late season trade.
Yeah.
And as far as your Bruins, I've got my notes here. Mike Hoffman, he is the best free agent out there. Underrated. You probably don't know a lot about Mike Hoffman. He turns 31 in November.
What does he play again?
He played this past year. He started with Ottawa for great player for a lot of years. Played with the Panthers. He's good for 25 to 30 goals. I think the Boston Bruins are in contention to get him. He's looking, give or take, about $6 million per year. But this guy's a guaranteed goal scorer. And the other guy that you...
Who was it? Didn't we talk about somebody last week, a name I had never heard of, a very good player who the Bruins supposedly...
Alex
Alex
Exler Larson from the Phoenix Coyotes,
Phoenix,
or
yeah.
Arizona, I prefer to call him Phoenix. He was getting like $8 million a year, played 9 years in Phoenix, and apparently the Coyotes wanted too much for him.
So
Again,
what's happened to him? Nothing?
He's staying in. He's got a no trade contract.
Yeah.
He gave him right up to the draft. You get rid of me before the draft, or I'm staying.
Yeah.
They could not get rid of him.
Staying.
So, and again, I told you last week, when you're playing out in Phoenix, what do we really know about the guy?
Yeah.
But he's a real steady defenseman. But with an $8 million contract, wouldn't you think he would call GM Don Sweeney up and say, Don, please take this contract off my hand and throw me some bones this way.
Bruins are getting beat up pretty much. They're getting some from beat writers and stuff. They're not getting good words for what they've been doing.
Well,
But money's an issue, obviously.
Torrey Krug is a unique player, okay? They have him listed 5'9". I'm willing to bet my life he's
Doesn't
not even
look like
5'8".
it. Yeah.
Okay, they always add on. But one of the best, if not the offensive defenseman. The guy can skate, handle the puck.
And again, power play's been his
He's got a
forte.
good shot. Defensively, what do you expect out of a 5'8"
Yeah.
defenseman? He's not paid to play great defense. You put a good defensive mate with him, they're fine. Now, they did the smart thing.
No, I don't think they're getting beat up about him so much, just not doing not doing much else.
Well, another name I'll throw out there, and he's
And
available.
Tuca, we're still wondering. Tuca's not
Now,
clear.
I think Tuca will be back.
Yeah.
Let me throw this name at you guys. And the team has asked if they could waive him. They just won a Stanley Cup without him. A great player, oft
Stamkos.
injured.
Not Stamkos?
Even Stamkos
Really?
could be available.
Wow,
Now,
I'd kill for him.
You can check, Evan. I think he makes about $8 million a year. He could end up in Boston. I don't know, I'll be honest with you, Duke, what the money situation is in Boston. But Stamkos, great player when he's healthy, but he's been injured significantly with serious injuries.
He's making 5.5 million.
That's all Stamkos
That's all
is making?
Stamkos is making?
Really?
Because I thought he was up around
Yeah, I
8.
would have guessed 7 or 8 probably.
I think that was before, and as like him aging, like
I think
goes
he's
down.
like 31 years of
But
age.
you're right, a
30.
lot of injuries.
So if the Bees have the cash, they could get Mike Hoffman, who I like a lot, and Stamkos could be in play, because the Lightning, they're in deep trouble with the salary cap. And Craig Smith, finally, they picked up the Bees from Nashville Predators.
Right.
Quiet guy, just goes out and gets his 20, 25 goals a year.
Yeah.
He'll probably be on the second line, and they got him for a paltry.
you said, Mike Hoffman was linked to the Bruins, so he is, but he's heavily linked with the Jets right now.
The Jets?
Yeah, Winnipeg.
Right. There are about 3 teams he
Yeah.
is. In fact,
3-year, 9.3, 3.1 million.
$3.1 million.
What NHL.com says, like they have him going, like I can't say going. The article said they saw him going to the Jets. Because it's like the most reasonable
Yep.
like landing spot for him. So
Well, let me ask you this. One of the best players in hockey, and maybe I shouldn't say the best offensive players from Winnipeg, Patrick Laine, the Finnish player. Okay. The knock on him is, he can score at will. Okay. If he tells you he's going to score 50 goals, he can score 50 goals. He's that good. Not much of a back checker.
No.
Won't play on the wall.
No.
And they said, third effort, forget about it. You won't even get a second effort out of
Yeah.
this. This guy is playing hockey by the virtue of God. The hand of God touched his forehead and said, Patrick, you're going to be a sniper. He was rumored potentially to Montreal, but he's got 1 year left on his contract, and he's looking for $10 million a year, maybe a $10 million, 7.5, or $10 million, 10-year, $100 million, because he's only like 23 years old. So, but I'm watching a lot of football this year, and I mentioned Duke. Right now,
Hey, my Dukies won their first game. They managed to beat Syracuse.
right now,
Go Blue Devils.
okay, we're into the start of the NHL season, okay? Would have started last Thursday. UVM hockey would have started this past weekend. So baseball, I don't give much. I'll watch baseball tonight to get a lot of highlights, but they're not my teams. So I'm watching a lot more football this year than I normally have. But it's very weird to me. Like I wore a Montreal Canadiens hoodie yesterday, and it's just like, well, there's no hockey going on. I'm not going to Burlington.
And I know how much the NBA means to you these days, Hawk.
Well, the NBA, thank you, good segue. Evan, just to show you how the country deplores Marxism. Forget socialism, but the NBA is a complete Marxist environment.
Marxist? Hawk?
Marxists. They're into this Black Lives Matter. They're into Antifa. The 6 lowest rated NBA final games is proof in the pudding. Tell me the 6 lowest ever NBA basketball games. Go ahead. Evan, get the hands off your eyes. Give me the answer. How about game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6?
What was the question?
The 6 lowest games ever are this year's NBA Finals. And do you know what about this Marxist, Antifa, Black Lives Matter crap? And all the stuff on their back, okay? They're subjecting us to watch that crap. Well, do you know what the NBA said? We're not having that next season.
Oh, is that right?
Okay.
They don't even give me that answer. They're just like
Okay,
they're showing
they're
like
not
the ratings.
allowing to have that. If your names is Jones and Smith and Johnson, that is what's going to be on your back.
Good.
Okay.
You ready for some NBA salary stat? There's a story in the Wall Street Journal about how LeBron's a bargain at $37.4 million, which I don't disagree with. Yes, he made $37.4 million this year. Yes, that's a fortune. But there were 5 NBA players who made more than him. There were 20 with salaries over $30 million. And how about nearly 50 who earned at least $25 million? In basketball's warped economy, 37.4 for LeBron is cheap. It's unreal, boy. I mean, salaries. I mean, basketball. It's unreal what those guys are making.
Basketball and hockey are played
Think of
same
hockey. Think of
time.
your great hockey players making a third or a quarter of that.
Exactly. If you're saying like, oh, $8 million, that's an awful lot. $8 million,
God, chump
and the
change.
NBA would have you at the end of the bench.
Chump change.
But hockey is a regional sport. Okay, it's New England, northern tier of the U.S. and Canada. So now, basketball NBA draft will be November 18th.
Oh, yeah, November 18th.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Okay, I'll have to get you back here because you probably know I don't follow college basketball, but the Celtics have 3 number 1 picks.
It's top being number
They have
14, I think.
14.
26 and 30.
30,
28
exactly.
or
No,
30.
you're right, 26 and 30.
I thought they don't have the 30
The
because they
Boston
didn't win.
Celtics have one of the best starting units in all of basketball.
26 and
The
28.
Celtics have one of the worst bench in basketball.
that
Can
right?
you
One-
imagine?
one of the worst
Oh,
benches,
yeah.
you think?
Can you imagine getting 3 kids that don't even shave in the first round, putting them on the bench to go along with Grant Williams, who I do like, Romeo Langford? They've got a bunch of first-round kids that come on the bench, and they bring them in the game. Danny Ainge did a great job accumulating draft picks, but his plan was, I'm going to package these suckers, and I'm going to get myself a nice ball player. It's not happening. And if we're stuck with 3-round draft picks, forget about it.
Yeah.
Now, there's a forward on USC that they like a lot, 6'9". I don't remember his name.
You're way ahead of
This is the
me.
guy from Maryland.
Give me a name.
There's a center from
Yeah.
Maryland that they're
Yeah.
eyeing.
So the week before, I'm going to get deep. The Duke follows college basketball.
Well.
He'll be familiar with some of these
Evan's
guys.
probably your key guy here.
But as I lament to Duke, quite often, is you look at the draft, you go through the top 15, okay, generally speaking, 12 of them are freshmen.
Yep.
One of them's a sophomore.
Yep.
And the other 2 are European players, okay? And you want to know the quality of college basketball now? Stinks.
Yeah. And
Now, you look at
really got big-
Jason Tatum, what, he would have been a senior this year
Yeah.
at Duke?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Probably a
Yeah.
good move for Jason to go to the pros
Yeah.
when he did.
You know, I mean, he was Boston had the number 1 pick, and they traded it to Philly, and they took their chances on Philly not taking Jason Tatum, which was because you knew Lonzo was going to LA. You just knew it, and they got an extra pick out of it, and
Yeah, they did pretty well with that one.
And speaking of Lorenzo Ball, his brother LaMelo will be at least top 3 pick. He won't.
I'm going number 2.
Is it
2.
Charlotte? Who is it?
Golden
State is number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not.
Say what a fall from
Yeah.
power. Huh?
And they'll have their bodies back come Christmas. That's when they're kind of expecting to reopen
Yeah.
shop is Christmas. That's what I think will occur. Evan, how they do 4 games on Christmas.
Yeah.
That may be like we're back type day.
Just one quick college football. No, you don't pay any attention to that,
Correct.
but got a good game. I don't know what time. I was trying to find the time, but talking Georgia at Alabama,
Yes.
2 and 3. That's if you're into college football at all, that should be a fun game.
That's
That's this weekend.
Your buddy Nick won't be present for that game.
Oh yeah.
He caught a little disease, COVID-19. So Nick will be at home watching the game. Saban, yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't
yeah.
caught that news.
That was late
Oh,
this
really?
afternoon
Oh, really?
that he's got it.
How can I give at least a quick word to my man Rafa?
I do have French Open on my notes.
Oh, do you?
And I
Okay.
saw an article, didn't read it, with they're trying to determine now who is the GOAT, the greatest of all time tennis player.
Tennis.
So you're the expert on tennis.
Well, yeah, I'm not the expert. I guess it'd be still hard for me to go against Roger Federer, but I mean, the top 3 guys, it's hard to go past them.
Well, give me your top 3 in no particular order of all time.
All time? Jeez, it's hard. But again, I fall into the same thing that a lot of people do when you just don't go back in time. The current guys get so much hype and stuff, 24/7 hype, and the old guys, Rod Laver, great player,
Yeah.
you see him at the Australian Open. But I mean, the top 3 guys these days are certainly right up there. Rafa with his 13th French Open championship.
Tell him his record.
But what do you think Rafael Nadal's record now at the French Open is lifetime?
I don't know.
How about 102?
Yeah.
As in 100 wins, 2 losses, which is to say, obviously, he's won it 13 out of 15 years.
Yeah.
Interestingly, both his losses were in earlier rounds. He's never lost in the finals. But he just tied Federer with 20 major singles championships, and Novak Djokovic, who Rafa easily beat this time around, who has a slight edge over him, lifetime, has 17. Pete Sampras, just to give you numbers, Pete Sampras 14. Then I think we dropped down to Roy Emerson 12, Rod Laver 11. Oh, sorry, Bjorn Borg 11. It's hard to go against the top guys now, but I'm acknowledging that may not be
You
fair.
throw out the name of Roy Emerson, okay?
I think Roy Emerson.
Was he Australian?
I think another Australian guy.
I mean, there's a name nobody. I mean, Rod Laver, you can remember.
Yeah, because you see him.
Bjorn Borg, you can remember, but Roy Emerson.
Yeah.
I think my recollection, he had a big mustache, but I mean, we're talking 50 years
And then,
ago.
of course, for good Americans, John McEnroe, who does, I think, excellent TV work covering, and Jimmy Connors, 2 of the greatest Americans, didn't make it to double digits. They probably both should have, but
Evan, I'm going to tell you, back in the 70s, tennis was popular. People watch tennis, people play tennis. Today, it's almost a distant thought.
I should note, and you always ask me about American men who are doing poorly. For the record, an American woman did make it to the finals, Sophia Kenin, who won the Australian Open, but lost to a Polish teenager who I had never even heard of. Kia, the last name looks like Swiatek. They gave it a different pronunciation. But kudos to our Polish friends out there. The first Pole to win a major championship, I guess, in anything.
What town in France? I should know it. And number 2 is, do they have any bodies in the seats?
So what was the first question?
What town in France is
A
this?
town, a pretty big town. How about Paris?
Oh, it's right
sorry.
in Paris?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was in the outskirts. Roland
Maybe it's
Garros.
Outskirts, but you always hear Paris. Roland Garros Stadium, named after some maybe military hero.
I think it was a World War I military
Could be,
hero.
but just a beautiful red clay courts. I mean, I love watching it. And Rafa was concerned, and I'm sure he was sincere, saying, because it's usually in June, it's usually hot and humid, which just how he hits the ball is good for him. So, of course, they have it in October, much cooler to see. And there were some fans, maybe 10, 15%. There were a scattering of fans, but bundled up and stuff. But Rafa thought the cooler weather would hurt him, didn't seem to bother him at all.
Okay, yeah. It's,
Anyway.
no,
And
was
a golf
that,
note, hey, we're a month from the Masters. We're, a month away. Less than a month.
Don't look at me. I don't know. I don't
You
watch
don't-
golf
you don't
and
golf?
tennis. No.
oh, come on, man. Bryson DeChambeau played this weekend.
How did, I paid a little attention. I've
I
got the
think
winner
he
here.
faltered on Saturday, came back,
Yeah.
and he said, I'm taking the next 4 weeks off
Oh, really?
to get ready for the Masters.
Oh, is that
And
right? Wow.
Duke, forget you, Evan.
I'm sure
Let's
the
look at us-
Masters people are cringing about
Let's
this.
look at us personally, Duke.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Duke and I will golf a couple times a week. I expect Champlain Country Club to be shut down Sunday, November 8th. That's my
Is that right?
prediction. Now, the Masters starts Thursday, November 12th, okay?
Huh.
So,
No,
what
so
a
the month is-
perfect time. And I know sports probably isn't being watched as much as normal, but I'm going to be very curious because golf fans or true fans are avid.
And the Masters is
The
just
Masters
top of
is
the line,
king.
I think.
So anxious to find out when the Masters is done. Will the ratings here in November beat April, right? The second weekend of April is when they play.
Yeah. typically.
I can tell you this, I'm a heck of a lot more busy second week end of April
Yeah.
than I am in the middle of November, which incidentally happens to be my least favorite month of the year.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
October is probably my favorite
but
month.
I don't think Bryson DeChambeau is making many friends. I saw a golfer, I don't remember his name, and I quote, he's making a mockery out of the game. And Evan, you've got to watch this DeChambeau. He's an animal. He's a machine. There's nobody that's ever in the history of mankind can hit a golf ball as long as he can hit. And his thinking is, I don't care where it goes, as long as it stays in play. If it goes in the fairway, I don't care. Do you know why? Because I'm big enough, I'm strong enough, and I'm quick enough to get that ball out of the
And I
rough.
don't think that reminds me, for some reason, of the criticism which we've talked about long ago. A column from Dan Shaughnessy, the Globe's great columnist, getting on Gino Auriemma in UConn, saying they're ruining college basketball by being too good. Geez, Dan, so I guess they should purposely have some down seasons to make you feel
Yeah.
better. So this criticism, DeChambeau's, not supposed to be
Right.
absolutely the best player he can be? That's ridiculous. But I'm sure that the Masters folks are the last thing they want is to see him chew it up and come in at 20, 25 under.
Typically, Duke, you have a decent memory. What's a normal low score that would win
Or
the
a winning
Masters?
score at the
Yeah.
Masters?
Yeah.
Boy, when Tiger ran away from it one year, he might have been about 20 under. I'm thinking like 10 to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, kind of like Hilton Head's about the same ballpark. I think low double digits is typical. You never get, there have been these, in this weird season, the early tourneys, including the one at Hilton Head, we had winners typically winning with like 22 under
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
The Masters, I would take a guess at about 11, 12, 13 under for an average average winning score.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, isn't Augusta typically shut down?
No, sure,
Right-
right, soon after the Masters.
Right, but what's the schedule? Tell me when people are allowed to play in Augusta.
Oh, I can't tell you. I assume probably probably getting into fall and stuff. I think just with the summer heat, I think they just keep people off. I would guess, if not September, probably right about now.
Okay.
I would think maybe October. I don't know that for sure,
Yeah.
but I mean, September down south can be wicked. Tell me about it. I was down there for 7 years. I would guess probably just about now they're starting.
Yeah.
With the Masters coming up, I can only assume, almost nobody's, getting very little
Yeah.
action until the Masters finishes.
Yeah. No, I think
So Bryson's pretty much taking it easy till the Masters?
it's not playing until,
Interesting.
yeah.
I should note quickly, a journeyman, but it's a nice story. Martin Laird, 37-year-old Scotsman, won in Las Vegas, a tourney that ended sunny and then I guess the second playoff hole against Matthew Wolff. Talk about one of your great
Yep.
young players. And Austin Cook, I think. But kudos for Martin. I mean, you're a decent player making a decent living, won for the first time in 7 years. That's got to feel pretty good. And Ernie Els won the Champions
Did he
Tour
win?
event.
Yep.
Yeah.
He does commentary, doesn't he? Television commentary?
I see him as a guy. I've never seen him
Okay,
do
maybe I'm
commentary.
mistaken of someone else.
But the rookie, it's a pretty impressive rookie class on the Champions Tour. To wit, Ernie Els, Jim Furyk, and Phil Mickelson. Not about and indeed the rookies, including those three,
All Hall
have
of
won
Famers.
6 out of the first 11
Yeah.
tourneys.
And I told you before, Tiger Woods said if Phil Mickelson decided to go to the Champions Tour,
Yeah.
he'd win every week.
Yeah.
A little.
Although Phil's erratic enough, but yeah, I understand the comment.
Yeah. So now I'm going to tell you a statistic I did not know. When the Lakers won their championship the other night,
Oh, wait, guess who they tied?
I had no idea they had won. That was championship number 17 to
17.
tie our Celtics.
But guess how many of those were pre-Los Angeles? Can you tell me that?
Minneapolis Lakers with a big center, George Mikan.
Very good.
Well, since you asked me, I'm going to say 6.
Good, great guess. 5, I think.
5 in Minneapolis. So that's
So the Fakers have tied our
Right.
beloved Celtics.
Right. So-
Red Auerbach would be rolling over in his grave.
who's your basketball team, Evan?
I'm an all Boston fan
Okay.
except for hockey.
Okay.
So
Now,
why? So the Bruins just never grabbed him?
No, so last time I was here, I told the story that
No,
I
you
got
did
the
tell about the
sweatshirt.
the
and
Caps.
I just-
how old were you?
I was like 10.
10
You did
years
tell
old.
us that
And the Washington Capitol sweatshirt influenced you?
Yeah, I mean they were garbage, but like at the time. But I just like I'm like I have it. Why not?
Yeah. It's very easy for me to tell you why I'm a New York Giant fan, because growing up, and I started watching them every week back in '66, they were the team on every week on Channel
Well, of
3.
course, same for me, pre-Patriots.
Right.
They're the team I grew up with, too.
Very simple. Montreal Canadiens. They were on twice a week, Hockey Night Canada. They were on Saturday night on Channel 6, and they used to be on Wednesday
Oh, is
night,
that
Channel
right?
12.
So early on, you were getting Wednesday night games,
Yes,
too?
as well.
Not to mention the great radio. God, the
Yeah.
great radio people.
The Celtics back in the mid-'60s,
Yeah.
you turn it on, who's in the playoffs? It was the Celtics. And with the Montreal Expos, I started following the Red Sox in 1967. Dick Williams.
Good, you picked a good year.
Yeah, Dick Williams was the manager of Toronto, a minor league team, and the Red Sox hired him for '67 and became the
Good choice.
impossible dream. Jim Lonborg won the Cy Young, and I think, if I remember right,
Yes, had a pretty good year.
that was the first year that they gave Cy Youngs to both leagues. I think
Oh,
they
is
just
that
give to
right?
one
Oh,
pitcher.
really?
My recollection, 1967, Mike McCormick of the San Francisco Giants won the Cy Young. So Jim Lonborg won the Cy Young. Red Sox lost in 7 games to Bob Gibson, who just passed away 2 weeks ago. Top 15 all-time
I thought
great
of my
pitchers.
World Series game as a high school senior, Bob Gibson pitching
so,
for St. Louis.
Jim Lonborg, to relax, comes up to Vermont, goes to Stowe to do some skiing. On the heels of a Cy Young, breaks his leg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was never the same pitcher. He was mediocre after that.
He was also a dentist. He had a pretty good day job. He was, I think, a very good, accomplished
Yeah,
dentist.
and the Red Sox might have traded him to Milwaukee a few years afterwards,
remember.
but
You're
he
right,
did,
he never
he
was
did
quite the
become a
same.
dentist after that. But so I was a Red Sox fan, and of course I remember 1968 when Alex Johnson beat Carlos Yastrzemski and this was back when it meant something. If I asked you this year who won the National League batting title and the American League batting title, back then it used to be a big deal.
Did DeMahieu win the American League
Right,
title?
correct.
Yeah, but I
And
hear-
Juan Soto from the Nats with a 351 average. But now, with all the numbers, they're looking to on-base percentage and this, that, and the other thing.
Slugging percentage.
Slugging and all that. But if you remember, 1968, Alex Johnson beat Carl Yastrzemski
With a really
by
impressive
fractions of a point. They
301.
each hit 301 that year, and that was the top batting average.
That's unreal.
The only two guys to hit 300 that year. In my recollection, the third guy was Danny Cater, first baseman from the Oakland Athletics.
Later Red Sox.
Who later
Knocked it down
played.
about 30
Oh,
seconds,
geez. He hit about 294 that year. So,
Unreal.
geez, I'm rambling. So, Evan, thank you for coming
Thanks,
in
Evan.
last
Great to
minute.
see you. Thanks for coming.
You're the guy off the bench that we can count on to pump in 20 points for us. So, for Evan, the Duke, Richie Cunningham, our engineer, I'm the Nighthawk. Remember, folks, always remember this. You do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for now.
Yeah.